So the number one problem for real estate agents, how do I get more listings? We hear from agents all the time. It's the number one problem they have. They can't get enough listing inventory. We know no matter where you're at in the country, there's a lack of inventory, or at least quality inventory, that buyers would be interested in with current market conditions. Welcome to today's morning meeting. I'm Greg Luther, the one guy that meets with you every single week to help you in growing your real estate business. Our topic today is how to get more listings, but it's not going to be in the traditional approach that you would generally think. The fact is, you're not picking them up as a seller unless you pick them up as a buyer first. Now, if you followed me for a while, we talk about this a lot. One of the big issues for so many agents is they're running ads, they're sending postcards, they're doing email campaigns. And everything they're saying is, if you want to sell your home, call me. I'm a top listing agent. If you'd like to list your home for sale, call me. When they want to sell their home? When they have a pretty good idea of where they're going to move. You will not pick up a seller unless you first pick them up as a buyer. So for you to say you're with a top selling company, for you to say I'm a top producer, for you to say I'm the top selling agent in this town, that does not matter to them until they find something or get very close to finding something that makes sense to them. An example I give all the time is if we were standing at a stoplight, sitting at a stoplight in our car, and I look over and I really like, let's say it's a Corvette or it's a Porsche or whatever it is. I really like that car. If I roll down my window and say, hey, I'd like to give you full market value for your car, I'm not selling my car. Well, I'll give you 10% more than it's worth. I actually do want to sell my car, but how would I get home? What would I drive tomorrow? I have to go to work tomorrow. I have to shop for my next car before I can even consider selling my current car. So it's going to be awful hard for you to get somebody to sell their home, just like it would be hard for you to get them to sell their car at 10% more than it's worth if it means they have to take the bus for 2 days until they find the next one. So you know what one of your problems is when it comes to getting listings? There's no inventory for that seller to move to. So one thing you have to do as a real estate agent, you have to start thinking about, if I want to work an area, if I want to do a geographic farming, if I want to work a certain community, or even sell a lot of houses in my own neighborhood, there's a lot of ways you can do that, because the easiest one of all is your own neighborhood. If you've got that right offer, many of you have seen some of the trainings I've done on that in our inner circle coaching. You should be by far the top producer in your neighborhood. You should have a minimum 30-40% market share in your own neighborhood for obvious reasons. If you've got your marketing right, that's what's happening, but you're never getting them to move. You're never getting any seller to move if they don't have a pretty good idea of where they're going to go. A very good way to kind of think about this and to adjust your own marketing is when you look at your expired campaigns. So with an expired campaign, one of the big problems so many people have is they're running ads to expireds, they're sending mailers, they're doing callers, they've got a VA that's calling expireds, and they're calling saying, I'm a better agent. Are you interviewing other agents that could do a better job? I'm doing target marketing. I can expose your home to more people. I do open houses every day. We're with a top selling company. They're saying all of these things. And you know what the problem is? The expired homeowner, they're not moving anymore. Did you notice that the ones from 6 months ago never relisted? That's because their plans fell out. They were in contract on a new construction and it didn't work out. They didn't sell their current home, so they lost that property. Well, why would they move now? They have nowhere to move. If you look at expireds from 6 months ago, you're going to see a whole bunch of them never relisted. That means their moving plans changed. They didn't change as a seller. They changed as a buyer. Whatever they were looking to buy fell out of contract. They didn't sell their home in time, whatever the case is, that changed their plans. They're obviously okay staying where they're at. So I've always said, with the marketing that we do for expired homeowners, I've always said it's almost like, someone that's unhappily married for 10 years. I'm sure you've met somebody. You may have been that somebody. If you were unhappily married for 10 years and, I'm going to divorce them eventually. We're going to break up eventually. I'm not going to be with them eventually. And you keep saying that. When are you actually going to do it? You've been saying it for 10 years. When are you going to do it? Probably when you find somebody new. And when you do find somebody new, and it's usually happenstance, stumbled across that person, you met them somewhere and you just really clicked, whatever the deal was, then you call that divorce attorney. And your divorce attorney question that you have for them is never about how much do you charge. It's rarely is that the first question. You know what the first question is? How soon can we get this done? You've put it off for 10 years, but you just fell in love with the next one. Probably you fell in lust with them, but you fell in love with the next one. And now you can't wait to make this thing go away. Well, the same is true in housing. You know how I can get somebody to sell their home? Get them to fall in love with another home. Right now, they're married to where they live. This is home. This is what they love. This is what they identify their family as living here. As soon as I can get them excited about a step up, as soon as I can get them excited about this really bright, shiny house over here, how fast can we divorce this one? Because if you don't have that now, and I'll tell you, this is the big problem we found. I see a lot of agents that say, all the homeowners I meet with, they want too much. They'll say they're not going to sell it all unless they get this price. I keep taking overpriced listings. A lot of my stuff has never sold. I got to beat them up for a price reduction later. You know why that is? You're dealing with people that aren't motivated enough to move to their next home. They have no fear of loss on the other side. They have fear of loss in this home, which means they're trying to get as much money as they can and they want to overprice the property. Does that make sense? So if you are statistically, if you're getting a lot of listings that are overpriced or you need another price reduction or whatever the case is, it wasn't priced right to begin with because you didn't have the motivation right to begin with. So as you're sending your marketing out, when you're sending to, let's say, your own neighborhood, if you're sending to your own neighborhood, do you think it's smarter to say, I can sell your home for top dollar, call me if you want to sell? Or is it smarter to say, with my Perfect Home Finder program, we can casually look around at everything that's available with no obligation to sell your current home, because after all, you're not going to sell your home if you can't find the perfect property anyway. And I can get you access to unlisted and pre-market properties before anybody else knows that they're for sale. This is a chance for you to casually look around, no obligation whatsoever, no pressure to sell your current home, and just see if we find anything that makes sense for you. Doesn't cost you anything up front. There's nothing you need to worry about for an obligation. If that's something you're interested in, let me know and we can shop around. That is going to work a lot better than having your photo and your company logo and everything I touch turns to sold. And if you'd like to sell for top dollar, call me. Do you know when they want to sell? After they're ready to buy. Because the worst thing they could think about right now is selling their home and having nowhere to go. So for those of you that are looking to get more listings, I want you to look at your marketing campaigns and I want you to think, am I starting them earlier in this timeline? If we take a timeline and we say, these times right here, well, they have to find a home first. They then think about, should I make the move at all? Then they've got to stage their home or they've got to clean it up or declutter or whatever. Then they talk about listing their property. Can you get them earlier in the process? Can you get them earlier down that timeline where you're the only one they're interviewing? They're not interviewing multiple agents. And ultimately, you can create a relationship with them that's a win-win for both parties. That's how you have to go about getting listings in today's market. For you to go after leads online or pay another company, I hate that they call them leads. It's really like the definition of leads. It's a French word. The word leads is a French word. It means swiped contact information that we sell unknowingly to that contact. We sell it to agents and investors and lenders. That's what a lead is. When you buy a lead online, you're buying swiped contact information that was unknowingly to them sold to multiple people. That's not a lead. It's swiped contact info. A lead is someone that knows who you are, knows what you offer, has an interest in what you offer, and leans into you to say, can you get me more information? So maybe this is the reason you haven't done well with the leads that you've bought. The offer doesn't match what they're actually looking for. So for you to start getting more listings, you got to think about, is my offer to the public desirable enough to get them early in the process where they do want to have a meeting with me? I can create a relationship with them. We get some kind of business working relationship moving forward that's non-committal for them until they're ready to make that commitment, until they say, okay, we're definitely ready to sell our house. If you do not have that, I don't care what company you switch to. You say, those leads suck. I'm going to try over here. I wasted a bunch of money on these people. I'm going to go try over here. It has, none of them are any good if they don't know who you are and what you're offering.